Hello everybody and welcome back to my series 2K to 10K by Rachel Aaron, where we'll be reading 2K to 10K by Rachel Aaron. Yes, I'm aware of how silly that sounded. So today we are going to be going over plot and character. I already did a lot of the character info, a lot of the world building for my characters, so I'll be showing you that. I'll be reading out a lot of my notes and are gonna have fun doing world building. It is now October, so I know it's been a hot minute since I came out with the last episode of the series, but it's Preptober, so it's all about prepping, so I hope that this series will give you a leg up, an edge up. It's definitely a leg up with prepping for NaNoWriMo and anything else that you're working on. Let's go! In this chapter, Rachel Aaron talks about characters who write their own stories. She makes a point of saying to let your characters grow up with the plot and world and story as you write. It's not the only way to work. I feel like she makes a really big point of saying that throughout all these chapters, that her way is not the highway. You can do whatever you want. But she also talks about herding cats versus driving a wagon, drivers versus passengers. The characters are the engines whose desires push the story forward. There's a difference between actively seeking destiny versus destiny thrust upon them, which is one of my favorite Shakespeare lines. And she makes a point of saying that the character's story comes from their choices. Now, I've struggled with character agency a lot. That's been one of the main critiques, comments that I've been getting from critique partners and beta readers all throughout any story that I write, any manuscript that I send them. So I think that this will be really, really helpful. I have also noticed it in these first few chapters that I've been writing for my new NaNoWriMo project, where the main character, she wakes up, she has no memory of anything, and it feels like all her friends are kind of pushing her along as the story goes. So I feel like already I need to figure out a way to give her more agency, to make her, I don't know, question things more, to make her get into the plot more, move the plot forward. I don't know what this is. But she talks about character agency, how making decisions that drive the plot forward is the best way to go. A character who doesn't decide doesn't have a story. And she makes a point of saying that characters with proper agency write their own story. We talked a lot about in the last video about the question, what happens next, what to do when you're stuck. Here she proposes that the answers to those questions, what comes next, or how did this happen, come from the characters. The answers serve to develop the characters. Put your character motivations against each other and from there figure out what's happening in the story by that conflict. She also says to treat your characters as active participants in your novel rather than passengers. So they're not just passengers in this plot wagon that you're writing, they're actually driving the plot wagon. I think that's a great metaphor, actually. The plot wagon. Your story is the plot wagon, or the plot Honda. I don't know. The plot bike. Now I'm just listing off modes of transportation, I guess. But then she circles back around to character sheets, and her character sheets are pretty simple. She just has name, age, physical description, I like, I hate, and more than anything, I want. I'm not a huge fan of big, huge, long character sheets. They just don't work for me. It's a lot of non-writing for me. Non-writing as in, I'm not actually writing the story, or I am, but I'm mostly writing just the characters in the story, and it's just not working for me. It's just not productive. I really like this way because it's simple, it's easy, you get out what you need for the story in this character sheet, and it's essential to the plot, and it's as little non-writing or as non-story writing as possible. And I think these examples that I'm showing you on the screen of my character sheets that I've been making are good examples of this. Rachel Aaron also makes a really good point about a lot of the story is weaving, so weaving events and characters and places. Let me see what she says in the book. Weaving all these events, places, and people together to make the rope of your story. Each bit is its own unique line that has a beginning and an end, but all of them get twisted into this smooth whole of a novel, and she says, if you've done this bit right, by the time you're ready to start writing, you'll have a cast of agency-filled characters whose understandable and natural decisions drive your plot forward. I have all my characters, I have all of them, I have all their motivations, just need to figure out how my main character pushes the story forward if she's lost her memory. Hello, it is Haley from the next day. As you can probably tell, I didn't finish everything that I had to say last night because I had to rush off to the Worldwide Write-a-thon, which was so much fun. I took a lot of notes last night during the Worldwide Write-a-thon, during my panel specifically. There was a lot less in the book than I realized. The final chapter is actually on editing. I'm not gonna do that chapter, obviously, because I'm not in a place where I'm gonna edit my book at all yet. NaNoWriMo hasn't even started. After character, Rachel Aaron goes into the 3-act structure. She talks about how in Act 1, you put your characters into a tree. In Act 2, you light the tree on fire, and in Act 3, you get your characters out of the tree. She also specifies that there's no fail-safe plan for a 3-act structure. Knowing about story structure does not guarantee that you'll get it right every time. It'll just help you figure out where you've got it wrong. She also goes into depth on climax and a denouement, how that equals a resolution. Not necessarily a revolution. But then she talks about infinite nesting dolls of the 3-act structure, how you can find this 3-act structure essentially in whole book series drawn out across books, but in chapters and in scenes as well. She also makes it known that a core part of the writing triangle is knowledge, and that means understanding story choices on a deeper level, but does not mean ignoring your instincts. In chapter 4, she talks about a 2-bird minimum, as in kill 2 birds with 1 stone. She adds on that scenes should do 3 things. So scenes should advance the story, reveal new info, and pull the reader forward. A lot of what she's talking about here is what I've already learned from Susan Dennard's website. She pulls a lot from Rachel Aaron's book. Obviously, her website was the inspiration for me to read it. So a lot of the scenes that should do 3 things, or scenes that should do multiple things at once, I already know, and a lot of what I worked on applying in my last draft of my full current manuscript, my YA fantasy, with elves, not to be confused with this YA fantasy with fairies, because, of course. And she makes the point that each scene is a step toward the end of the story. One of the questions that I had here was about plotting out chapters like scenes, so each chapter is a step toward the end of the story. There can be multiple scenes in each chapter. I've typically always stuck with 1 scene per chapter, but like those scenes do many things. And also, when do scenes break? Are they just like in one place, in one time, with 1 character, or with just about 1 theme? I don't know. But she also makes the point of pacing your steps wisely. Then we got into word count. Here I wrote down my notes about YA fantasies. So like she says it's 80k to 100k. My current manuscript, my YA fantasy project Underground Elves, is about 86,000 words. So kind of in that sweet spot for me. As I said before, this project, I'm pointing towards the screen, but of course you can just see my face. I've plotted out 50 chapters, whereas in my current manuscript, I plotted out 40 chapters. Wait, that can't be right. That can't be right. Hold on, let me look. So I just checked the original chapter outlines that I have for each book. Obviously this one is still original because I haven't even written it yet. That's the working title, let's just go with that, was actually originally 32 chapters when I was plotting it out. This one, so this project YA Fantasy Fairies is 50 chapters. You know, I just realized that some numbers might be off because I was deleting sections and I was combining scenes. So if I look on the actual Excel spreadsheet, it's actually 38 chapters, not 50. It just says 50 on the sheet. I don't know why. I really don't know why. And then if we go into my latest, maybe final draft for Secrets of the Neath, it actually ended up being 34 chapters. 2 more chapters are pretty much the same chapters that I outlined, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that works out, because, you know, I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Obviously, I feel like I'm putting more into this outline to really double down on making each scene do more for the story. I'll probably make another video where I discuss my outlining process, because it's a little in-depth, it's a little involved, at least right now. It's changed basically every single project that I've worked on. It's changed for every single project, but in a good way. It's still the basic structure. It's based off of She Who Must Not Be Named, her chapter outline, but now it's mine. I claimed it. It's mine. It's the Haley Haggerty outline. Rachel Aaron also makes a point of asking what else can each scene do? Where else can I put the plot? Combine multiple scenes into one. She talks about having a romantic subplot, but also having like a truth about magic, whatever it has to do with your story. But then she follows that up with adding substance, not bulk, to your word count. And I think that's a really good thing to point out, because I'm going to be doing NaNoWriMo. I want to make it at least to 50,000 words. I think that if I write this with all the things that I've planned to add, who knows, things might end up wanting to change, who knows, things might end up adding in different places, all over the place, but I at least want to get to 50,000 words, and adding substance over bulk is a lot better, because then theoretically I won't have to go back and revise as much as I have with this project, with Secrets of the Neath, or with my middle grade stories. We'll see. I have high hopes for this one, and I think that Rachel Aaron makes a lot of good points, and that I should follow them. It's just, will I? The last chapter of Rachel Aaron's book is actually about editing. Obviously I won't be doing that because I actually have to write the book first. I said that already, but hey. I know this video was a lot more talking than it was seeing me write and seeing me write these notes. Foolishly, I set the Forest app so that I could work on the notes, and then I said, oh wait, I want to film them, and then I can't. I was timing myself. But I think this is actually going to be the last episode of my Rachel Aaron series, because, like I've repeatedly said, I can't do the last chapter because it's editing. Maybe I'll save that for the future, so that'll be a bonus chapter in, like, a bonus video in December or something, when I'm working on this book and revising it. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed this series. I felt a little bit rambly. Let me know if you want me to review any other craft books. Let me know what you thought was the most important from Rachel Aaron's book. Obviously, this is going to be most important to me when I'm doing NaNoWriMo, because she talks about fast drafting. I'm going to be fast drafting this. I'm going to be writing it in a month. Obviously, also helpful to people doing Milwordy. Fast drafting, writing more words, but writing more substance over quantity of words, which is always good. We always want the drafting process to be easier on ourselves. I know I do, at least. So I hope this series was helpful to you. I hope you got new tips. I hope you got different tips. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like and hit that notification bell so that you're always notified when I make a new video. That was my first time saying that. Hope it went well. Bye, everybody.